All right, good afternoon, music world. Your old friend John here from What's Spinning. Hope you're doing well. Hope you're enjoying List Week over here. I'm back today with my top 50 singles of the year. I usually do top 50. As always, this is all opinion, folks. Let's just have some fun with it. And of course, when you're done watching, let me know down below some of your favorite singles of the year. I'm also going to try and put together a playlist of all of these tracks as usual. Now, I am going to try and stick with tracks that were official singles from the album. And of course, as always, one track per artist. Some of those were actually pretty hard to narrow down. Now, without further ado, I'm going to quickly do some quick honorable mentions. Really do love the new from the new Clipping record, Welcome Home Warrior, featuring Aesop Rock from Clipping. Easily my favorite track of the album. Just a weirdo abstract hip-hop jam for the ages. Also, King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard, Dead Stick. I cannot be in a bad mood with this track on. Also, Bon Iver, Everything is Peaceful Love. Easily the most soothing and sort of 80s tinged pop tune on his new record. Do really love the good vibes there. Also really loved Night's Oath from Full of Hell. Honestly, as far as a single goes, one of their most accessible and just enjoyable right off the bat in years. And also, one final honorable mention, I do really think that This Is the Killer, speaking from The Last Dinner Party's new record, is one of the most interesting tracks that they've ever done. Really love the melodies and the way this track progresses. Right, without further ado, I'm going to jump into my list. Hope everybody enjoys. At number 50, while I didn't enjoy this new Tunde Adepimbe record as much as I personally liked, I am a big TV on the radio guy. I do believe that Someone New is just a great sort of funky electro-funk indie-tronica track with some really great rhythms to it. Also, Deaf Heaven, Heathen, easily one of the best black metal trinkles that I've heard all year. At number 48, one from the new FKA Twigs album, I went with Striptease here. Easily one of the more catchy and melodic tracks on there. I did really like the record overall. At number 47, from YHWH, Nailgun, it is Animal Death Already Breathing. Just one of the most colorful and wild blasts of noise and experimental rock that I've heard this year. Easily a highlight from their great debut record. And at number 46, Ty Segall, Possession. This is the freakiest and just most in the moment that I've heard Ty in a while. Love the rhythms on this cut. At number 45 is Model Actress with Diva. Do really love that record quite a bit, and this was probably the single that gravitated towards me the most. It is just so throttling and just so intense and sweaty. And at number 44, The Horrors with Ariel, one of the most immersive and intense tracks on their new record. Love how dark it is as well. At number 43, New Threats from the Soul, Ryan Davis and the Roadhouse Band. Really do love the storytelling on this track and just the risks that this band takes. I mean, this is a pretty beefy 9+ minute cut, but it's just so enjoyable, easy to take in. Really one of the more, exciting new singer-songwriters to watch out for. At number 42, it is Gethsemane from Car Seat Headrest, the 10-minute plus epic from their new record, The Scholars. This one just took me back to a simpler time in Car Seat Headrest discography, and while the album didn't excite me as much as I had hoped that it would, this track is epic, and it is just everything as great as their early days and just that exciting. And at number 41, while not a perfect record, I did really like Miguel's New Martyrs, Ride For You. Easily one of the steamiest moments on his new record. Just really does bring me back to albums like Kaleidoscope Dream. At number 40, it is Bologna, Destroyer featuring Fiverr. Just love how elegant this track is. Love a lot of the sunny sort of psych pop elements to this track and just how lush and beautiful it is. And at number 39, Wet Leg with Catch These Fists. Did love the track, loved it when it first dropped, love it even more now. Man Down. At number 38, Anna von Housewold, Facing Atlas. I will say, while this track is amazing and I did want to place it a little bit higher, the reality is I do think that the album hits a lot harder when you listen to it from start to finish. But it is pretty damn mesmerizing even on its own. And at number 37, Armand Hammer, Calypso Gene. Easily one of the sort of spookiest moments on their new record. This track just sounds like sort of like horrorcore leaning, which I personally love. And Silka and Cleo Reed on this cut give a great feature. At number 36, I'm going to put 100 Horses from Geese. This is the track that really inspired me to listen to their new record. I wasn't really a fan of theirs leading up to it, but this track goes hard. It's easily one of the best rock records of the year. And at number 35, I'm going to put Wishy with Fly. I cannot say no to the incredibly sunny, good vibes of this cut. At number 34, I'm going to put Little Sims with Free, easily one of the breeziest and most introspective moments on her new record, Lotus, that I could not recommend more. At number 33, I'm going to put Black Foxes with Karseg. My God, this album, while it didn't reach my top 20 records of the year, if you're into post-hardcore or a Black Foxes fan, you're going to want to hear it. This is some of the most explosive and emotional and draining post-hardcore you're going to hear this year, and this cut, Karseg, is an immense track. At number 32, Deftones, Milk of the Madonna, easily one of the most explosive rock tracks I heard this year. When I first heard this track, I knew that I needed to listen to that Deftones record right away, and yeah, they knocked it out of the park. It's so raw, it's so nasty, and it's done so right. And at number 31, it's the Viagra Boys with Man Made of Me. I could not say no to this track. Not only is it just a great sort of quirky post-punk tunes, I mean, Flappy Giblets is in the lyrics, and we need more tracks with Flappy Giblets. At number 30, from the new Sharon Van Etten and the Attachment Theory record, I'm going to put Trouble. I love the way that this track just sort of bubbles up over time, just grows constantly, and Sharon's performance is haunting. Number 29, I'm going to put Chalk, Afraid. If you are into industrial metal from any generation, this is going to be something that you're going to want to hear, because it is thrilling and sweaty and wild. At number 28, I'm going to put Tennis's Weight of Desire. It is just everything that I've loved about the band in over the last few years. It is dreamy, it is very romantic, it is very steamy, it is very 80s. And at number 27, Kali Uchis, All I Could Say. Easily one of the best cuts on her new record. Shows Kali going down the route of old school, girl groups and soul, and she knocks it out of the freaking park. Her vocals here are so sweet and so delicate and so full of love, as is most of this record. And at number 26, I'm going to put Stitches from Pigs X7. Just this really great, bulky, sweaty, blood-pumping psychedelic metal track with some blues element as well. If you haven't listened to the band yet and you do like some modern psych metal and psychedelic rock, give this track a listen. And at number 25, I'm going to put Danny Brown featuring Underscores with Copycats. Easily my favorite cut on this new record. And I know that Starburst is a little bit more progressive and wild, but Copycats just stuck with me ever since this track dropped a while back when the album dropped. It is so infectious. I love the wild production, and the Underscores feature is great. At number 24, I'm going to put Slow Crush with Cherry, just one of the most kaleidoscopic and colorful shoegaze singles you're going to hear this year. And at number 23, Oneohtrix Point Never, Cherry Blue, kind of like the Anna von Hauswolf record. I could have chosen a few cuts here, but I do believe that listening to the new Oneohtrix Point Never as an album is a lot more powerful than any of the singles, but this single here is easily one of the best, most immersive, and most visual electronic tracks I've heard all year. At number 22, I'm going to put Billy Woods with Black Zombie from his new record Gollywog. I mean, this was the single that told me initially that I was going to love this record, which I ended up doing, but I love how visual it is, I love how meditative it is, and I love how pissed off it is, while also dipping into elements of horror. And at number 21, I'm going to put Pup, Hallways. This easily could have been in my top 20. As a matter of fact, it was one of the last tracks that I really kind of kept out of the top 20. This is one of the deepest and most emotional pop punk and emo tunes I've heard all year. I mean, my God, that hook, the way that this track builds up to the final moments, it is insane. It is such a great track. Shout outs to Pup, which leads me to my top 20 singles. So I'm going to slow things down just a little. All right, at number 20, I'm going to put Checkers from Mr. Aesop Rock from his new record, Black Hole Superette. I mean, hearing this track just took me back to my teens. I mean, everything about this track is 100% Aesop Rock and what I've loved about him since day one. The beat here, it is jazzy, it is off-kilter. His vocal performance on here is just as weird and quirky as you would expect, and lyric-wise, it is dense as anything, but my God, it is just such a complete package of a track. from Aesop Rock. If you haven't listened to Black Hole Superette yet, definitely check it out. At number 19, I mean, God, this album really did not live up to the hype, at least in my mind, because I was expecting this to be a knockout. But I'm going to put Sugar in the Tank from Julian Baker and Torres. Like, yeah, the record didn't pan out as exciting as I thought it was going to be, but if you are looking for some of the most enjoyable, genuinely enjoyable, and just feel-good indie country that you're gonna hear this year, everything about this cut just warms my bones and puts a big smile on my face. At number 18, I am going to put Nina Geraci, Fuck My Computer. What a ridiculous electronic track this is. Everything from the beat that just keeps constantly getting wilder and more explosive as this track rolls on to the very introspective and funny lyrics that Nina has brought to the table makes this an absolute knockout. And number 17, my boys, Bambara, Letters from Sing Sing. Easily this track that hyped me up the most for their new record, and this one has just been on repeat all year for me. It is so explosive. It is so raw. This track just sounds like a post-punk tour of the underworld, just, you know, lighting up to explode at the chorus. And at number 16, one of the better alternative rock tracks of the year from my boys In Shame, I'm going to put the title track from their new record, Cutthroat. Ever since this track dropped, I just thought that it is just, you know, just a really great old school, driving, explosive alternative rock tune. It's a little bit of a throwback, but it just is like oozing with personality. The production's great, and it's catchy as hell. And number 15 also would be one from the new Horse Girl record, Fanatics On and On. I'm going with Switch Over. This is, I mean, I don't even know what this is. Their formula for indie rock is so interesting right now. It's kind of got a little bit of a twee and power pop thing, but it also has a little bit of a slacker element to it as well. And let me tell you, it is just so infectious. This brings me back to like the early days of Montreal in a weird way as well. And this track, Switch Over, it is so meditative, so hypnotic, so catchy. And number 14, one from the new Preoccupations record, which was a major letdown, let me remind you, but their track Focus from it, I have been listening to non-stop. As a matter of fact, I listen to it more now than when the record dropped. It's still one of the darkest and most intense post-punk tracks I've heard all year. I love the 80s tints production. I love the sort of, you know, driven riff here. Everything about this track, especially Matt Flagel's vocals on this thing, just get inside my head. Oh, it's so good. At number 13, from another disappointing record, the new White Reaper record. Let me tell you, the album was a little bit of a miss, but that Blue 42 single, which is right here on my countdown, is something special. I love just how, you know, depressive it is, and that sort of old school power pop and alternative rock vibe is alive and well. It is explosive when it needs to be. It's downtrodden for the whole entire thing. Easily one of the more somber moments from the band, but everything about this track works, from the chorus to that great final guitar solo. Really infectious rock single. Also at number 12, from another album that did kind of underwhelm me, it's Sunflower Bean with Nothing Romantic. I did say in my review for their new record way back earlier this year when they dropped it, that I couldn't see the album leading up to my top 20 albums of the year, but easily some of the singles. The singles here are great. I could have gone with Champagne Taste as well, but Nothing Romantic is just this great old school glammy art rock tune with so much personality and so much pizzazz. I love the way that this track is just a build up to this chorus, and it's just so explosive. Shout outs to Sunflower Bean. And at number 11, it is Chat Pile and Hayden Pedigo with Radioactive Dreams. I mean, I was so hyped for this record when it first got announced, and thankfully it panned out beautifully. But this track here in specific, my lord, is it perfect. I mean, it gets down to everything that is given on this record, from the dreamy sort of apocalyptic vibes to the crushing riffs. Everything that is so interesting about their collaborative record, the atmosphere of it, the way that the two play off each other, all comes together at a head on Radioactive Dreams. It is hypnotic. It is no hope in sight, trust me, but it is really memorable. Which leads me to my top 10 singles of the year. And first up, I'm going to give a major shout out to Spelling for Portrait of My Heart. I mean, I've always been on the fence with Spelling's music, but I personally really loved just how raw and and old school alternative rock her new record was. And Portrait of My Heart, which kicks it off, is a major example of it. Everything about this track is just driving, explosive. This hook, I mean, it's one of the most memorable of the year. Her vocal performance is absolutely soaring, and this just sums up everything great about her new record. At number 9, from the Men's new album, Buyer Beware. I could have gone a couple of different ways, but I did end up going with Charm. I mean, if you haven't listened to the new Men record, you really should, especially if you enjoy some modern punk rock. But let me tell you, this Charm single is great because it is them doing what they do best, blending their sound with another sound, which here they do in sort of old country ballad, which is something they've done a lot of in the past, and Charm is just so good. I mean, it's blink and you'll miss it. It's a shorty, but it is just so passionate. I love the wailing riff and the distortion and just the harmonies on this thing. It's great. At number 8, this was released very late last year, but I'm including it on this. It's one for the new Dara Dorian record. It's Digital Gravestone. This track is fantastic. This is exactly what I wanted to hear from her. It excited me for her new record, and you know, it does pan out. And my excitement ended up being true because honestly, the album's great, but Digital Gravestone is freaking awesome. It is a sort of krautrock inspired, very intense, very driven tune that is laser focused. I love her performance on this track. It goes from ghouling to soaring in a snap of a finger. It shows just how much Dara Dorian has grown over the years. It is exciting. At number 7, I'm going to put on one from the new Turnstile record, which, once again, was not exactly one of my favorite records of the year. I was a little underwhelmed by it personally, but let me tell you, Look Out For Me fits the bill. This is exactly the kind of riff that I wish we heard more of on that record. Not only is this a pretty beefy cut at just about 7 minutes, and yes, you could say it sounds exactly like Rage Against the Machine, but man, do they do it well. This is the most explosive and raw cut on here. I love the hook. I love the progressive nature of this track, the way that this track morphs into something else by the time that it's done. It's a testament of what Turnstile can do, and I think that they need to do more tracks like this. At number 6, I'm going to put one from the new Matt Jensic and Midwife record. I'm going to put Rickety Ride, which was the track that really pushed me to review that album, which ended up being one of my favorite records of the year. Spoiler alert. But this is so cool. If you're a fan of slowcore or shoegaze or a little bit of both, or even some classic M83, you're going to want to hear this track. It's this sort of very hazy, very nostalgic, very throwback tune with some very ghoulish and very tragic lyrics. It's perfect for a rainy day. Which leads me to my top 5 singles of the year, the ones I've been listening to the most. And at number 5, I'm putting one from the new Sedan Archives record, and this could have gone a lot of ways. Trust me, I wanted to put Dead and also My Type, but I ended up taking A Bug's Life because this was the track that gravitated towards me the quickest. This was the one that I put on, and instantly I was just like, hell yes, this, more of this. The dance beat is absolutely insane. The production is crisp, and her charisma on this cut is overwhelming. Sedan Archives, you know, she's been pumping out some great tracks for years, but I feel like with the BPM, she has truly arrived, and A Bug's Life is definitely a part of that. Number 4, maybe the most infectious track that I've heard this year. I cannot seem to get away from this, and that is Beach Bunny's Tunnel Vision. This is easily one of the most adorable and cute and sweet and infectious indie pop and power pop tunes I've heard all year. I really love the introspective and telling lyrics as well, but it is just such a sweet and pleasant throwback to a simpler time in indie pop, and it's just so incredibly catchy. The little guitar lick that we get on the hook, my God, it hasn't left my head since its album dropped. Truly a fantastic single. And number 3, I'm going to put Alex G with Afterlife. Spoiler alert, his new record's really, really good, but hearing this single so early on just showed me, like, you know, like the kind of mind track that Alex was on leading up to this record, the much more personal and adventurous sound, and he nailed it. This single is great. It's one of his most emotionally powerful and just like personal sounding tracks he's put out in years. It's just a really great, very emotionally driven indie folk tune with some seriously seriously stellar performances. Definitely check the record out if you haven't already as well. And at number 2, this also could have gone a few different ways, but I ended up at number 2 putting one from the new Panda Bear record, and I went with a lead single from the record. I put Praise because there has not been a single time that I haven't put on this track all year that I haven't been smiling from ear to ear. My daughter loves it as well. It's just so fun and sunny, and I love the sort of dub influences that we get on this track. Panda Bear's vocals are really great, just soaring towards the chorus, and I just love the Brian Wilson influences all over this track. It's just such a feel-good track. I cannot, in my wildest dreams, be in a bad mood while it's on, which leads me to my favorite single of the year. And this could have gone a few different ways, but I ended up going with Fuck Me Eyes from the new Ethel Cain record, Willoughby Tucker, I'll Always Love You. Just because this track, from the moment I heard it, I was absolutely blown away. This is exactly what I wanted to hear Hayden do with her new record, and we got that. I mean, few tracks on this new record just throw you into her world immediately, and that's what this track does. It's nostalgic, it's dusty, it's old school, it's got that storytelling that I love in Ethel's music as well, and it is all just a build-up to this very ethereal chorus. I love the nods to everything from Americana to shoegaze. Everything about this track just gets under my skin and gives me the chills every time I hear it, and that is why I'm putting it as my favorite single of the year. But let me know what some of your favorite singles of the year were. Let me know. Also gonna be trying to put together a playlist of these tracks if you're interested, so stay tuned for that, and of course stay tuned tomorrow for my top 20 albums of the year. And until then, be sure to give us a like, give us a subscribe, and let me know down below some of your favorite singles of the year. Catch you tomorrow for my favorite records of the year.